How to Tame Your Toddler and Keep Your Sanity. Written by Nora Mcgee, narrated by Cesa. How to Tame Your Toddler and Keep Your Sanity. Introduction. If you're like most moms, you entered this adventure called parenting thinking you were going to be the best mom ever. You thought for sure that you were going to raise polite, well-adjusted kids who would go on to be successful adults. You held your precious infant and imagined sweet bedtime snuggles and hand-holding walks and a child that looked up to you for everything. At some point in the first year of your child's life, the realization hit you that your baby was developing a personality. Your daughter had chosen a favorite toy, or she was shy. Maybe your son always wanted to be the center of attention and would get loud and boisterous when people were visiting. You were constantly in awe of how he or she was figuring out how to interact with the world. Then something terrible happened. Your child became a toddler. Words like no and mine replaced the cherubic giggles and coos that you fell in love with. Your little bundle of happiness developed a temper and started hitting people when she didn't get her way. That personality that was so fascinating a few months ago seemed to be taking a turn for the worse, and you probably began questioning what you were doing wrong. This was not the polite and well-adjusted child you thought you were raising. Suddenly you realize that you've lost control of your household and that it's being run by an adorable little beast with the power to cause chaos wherever she goes. The good news is that you're not doing anything wrong. This is a perfectly normal part of a child's development. He or she is learning to test boundaries and push limits. It's all part of learning where they fit into this great, big, confusing world. Along with all this exploration and discovery comes those terrible things called tantrums. Whether it's a screaming fit, throwing themselves on the floor and kicking, hitting, or crying, tantrums will make you question your own abilities as a mom more than anything else. In this book, you're going to learn about tantrums, what they are, why they happen, and how to prevent them. You'll discover tips and strategies to help you get your irrational child back to a state of calm, without losing your own temper in the process. Keep reading to learn how you can take back control of your household and your sanity. Chapter 1. Parenting Style. We all know how it goes. Life becomes so busy with work, marriage, and parenting. You spend your time trying to make ends meet and give your child the best. As you struggle to balance your roles and responsibilities, you begin to worry that you aren't giving her the best, and guilt creeps in. This is completely normal. There is no such thing as a perfect mom. The problem arises when you let this guilt dictate the way you handle discipline and routine in your parenting. Most parents will start to slip into one of two categories: the pushover or the authoritarian. The pushover gives in and lets the child make the rules, and before you know it, you have a spoiled child with no coping skills. The authoritarian, on the other hand, lays down the law and uses fear of punishment to make a child bend to their will, leading to a child who suppresses their natural curiosity out of fear. The key to successful parenting is finding a balance between the two. Your child needs to be loved and supported, but also needs to have boundaries set and rules enforced. You need to nurture the sense of wonder and discovery while simultaneously preparing him for the world around him. There are a few important things to keep in mind when you begin to develop your parenting style. Your child is a child and cannot reason on an adult level. Consider things from a child's perspective before deciding whether they are acting badly. Your child does not know how to control his or her emotions. You need to be in control of yours. Your child's brain is still developing. What he or she learns now can become hardwired and difficult to correct later in life. Each child is different and responds differently to different types of discipline. What worked for another child may not work for yours. It is important to plan ahead before your child is born and agree with your partner about how you are going to parent. The time to decide these things is not in the heat of the moment, so make sure you're on the same page about discipline before you need to do it. Although some practices may take some getting used to, they will soon become habits and will be your natural response to tough situations. Having this
Sample complete. Ready to continue?